Hello everybody, my name is Julia. I hope you're all well. The title of this video is 6 Tools to Help You Know Yourself, and this video is a video about personal and spiritual growth. And this video was really going to originally just be for my new channel, my health and well-being channel called Highly Sensitive Me. And as I started to sort of think about the idea and the concept of doing the video, I thought it would probably appeal to people on my tarot channel as well, because I would imagine my intuition would tell me that many of you are interested in your personal growth and your self-development, and probably, like me, think very much that it's important to know yourself, really, and to really know yourself, not to just have an idea of who you think you might be, or who you think you want to be, or how you want other people to see you, but actually who you really are. Especially if you're like me and you've suffered any form of mental health problems, or you're on the autistic spectrum. Because if that's the case, you will probably have done a great deal of masking and pretending in your life, as I have done. And if you've done that for many, many years, then it can be really, really difficult to live your life authentically and healthily in a way, that suits you. So I've got some notes in front of me. I don't do editing of videos. I just can't, well, I don't think my laptop is up to it, to be honest, but I just can't seem to get my head around it. So I turn the camera on and I talk, and I'll try not to waffle on for too long. I'll try to keep the video within certain time limits. But anyway, I have got some notes in front of me, so you will see me refer to those. So my career was in mental health, and although I always believed myself to be self-aware, and thought I knew myself pretty well, actually, my journey has really accelerated in, I would say, the last 3 or 4 years, mainly just due to having a massive breakdown, and having to face up to some of my health challenges. I've had fibromyalgia for many years, and I kind of always knew that I was different and that there was something, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. And as you've probably heard me say in other videos, I was diagnosed with autism maybe 2.5 years ago now. So I've been trying to come to terms with that, really. And I think this kind of dark night of the soul really led me to look properly at who I am and how I operated in the world, and what I really needed to feel safe and secure in the world, to understand my limitations as well as my strengths, and really find a way to be able to live authentically in this world. So that's what's inspired me to make this video, as there are certain things that I really do believe that can help you to understand yourself and make peace with yourself. As I said, there's 6 things. The list is by no means definitive, and I would love to hear any feedback from anybody watching this video about your own experiences on your own journey, on your own path of personal and spiritual growth. So, in no particular order, the first thing is, and obviously some of these things you may already be aware of, some of these things you may have already done yourself, but I hope there might be something here that is of inspiration to you. So, in no particular order, the first thing is the Myers-Briggs personality test, or the 16 personalities test, and I will leave a link in the description box to everything that I talk about in this video. so you can have a look for yourself and you can have a go yourself if you really feel inclined to. So I first took this test, the Myers-Briggs test, when I was a mental health nurse, when I was a student, and I would think I was 21 or 22, and it was all part of the education of being a mental health nurse. It was linked in with Carl Jung and his theories on self and journey to self. And, you know, many of you may have heard of this test and may have done it for yourself. It's a series of questions. It takes around 10 or 15 minutes to complete, I guess. And it will give you a result that's based on certain psychological traits, and it covers everything about your personality, really, from relationships, workplace behaviours, how you think, how you feel. But anyway, you get a result with 4 letters, basically, and this will give you your type. And you might be introvert or extrovert, intuitive or sensing, a feeler or a thinker, or judging or perceiving. I can't really recommend this test highly enough. Once you know your type, you can look much more in depth at how your cognitive functions behave and interact with each other. And there's lots and lots of information online about personality types. I'll link down below Frank James's channel. He does a lot of very, very funny videos about personality types, you know, like 16 personalities at school, 16 personalities in having an argument, you know, just all sorts of things. And I think he's really very funny and very relatable, actually. So I tested as an INFJ when I was 21 and have done consistently throughout my life ever since, really. And this stands for I, which is introversion, N, which is intuition, F, which is feeling, and J, which is judging. I think this is a really interesting type, the more I've read about personality types, and supposedly extremely rare in society. I also think that it correlates very strongly with being highly sensitive and autism, actually. So saying that, I would also, and I've got the book here, I would also very much recommend doing the highly sensitive person test, which I again will leave a link below in the description box too. This is a test designed by a lady called Elaine Aron, who wrote a book called The Highly Sensitive Person, which I have mentioned in other videos, and I can't recommend this book highly enough. And I think if you test as an introvert, particularly with introverted intuition, there is a good chance that you may well be highly sensitive yourself. So that might well be worth you having a look at as well. So yeah, the Myers-Briggs test, or the 16 personalities test, plus, if it resonates, the highly sensitive persons test. So that's the first thing. Secondly is the love languages quiz, which discusses the 5 love languages. It's a book by a man called Dr. Gary Chapman. He's a PhD. He's an author, speaker and counsellor. And the premise of his 5 love languages book is that different people with different personalities give and receive love in different ways. And by learning to recognise these preferences in yourself and in your loved ones, you can identify the roots of your conflicts in relationships. You can connect more profoundly and truly begin to grow closer with people that you care about. So the 5 love languages are acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, words of affirmation, and physical touch. And again, in the description box, you'll find the link to this website and this test. And I think it's a, you know, if you struggle with relationships at all, or you just want to find a way of connecting with people in a more satisfying way, I think this is a fantastic thing to do, and will really give you some good insights into how you operate really within relationships. And the results of this test really surprised me when I did it. Particularly, this test I think is helpful in the context of a sort of romantic relationship, but I think it can also be helpful with relationships across the board, really. In his book, which I don't have at the moment, but I did read years ago, he talks a lot about keeping your love tanks full, knowing what your partner values, and really sort of going to some lengths to try and keep each other's love tanks full, and that's a way to maintain satisfying relationships throughout your life. So again, I can't recommend that test or that quiz highly enough. The third thing is attachment styles, which I know has become more popular in literature and online just recently. It's becoming much more well known and talked about. There's some brilliant channels on YouTube and Instagram actually, and I'll link a couple of those in the description box. But the quiz, it's another quiz. I realise not everyone's into quizzes, but I do like a quiz or a test, I really do. This one comes from the Personal Development School, and it's just a very quick little quiz really, that again can really help you to make sense of how you operate in relationships, what strengths you have, what challenges you have, what draws you to people, what pushes you away from people. It can really help you to make sense, I think, particularly if you've had a traumatic childhood, or any issues relating from your childhood and growing up, as they can obviously impact upon our relationships in life and how we relate to people. I was able to see from doing this test that I'd been exhibiting aspects of being a fearful avoidant a lot in my life, but also being quite anxiously attached. And I've been able to see how that's kind of had quite a detrimental effect on some of my relationships in life. And I'm now consciously, day by day, working my way towards becoming more securely attached by kind of reparenting myself, I guess. So again, I can't recommend looking into this subject highly enough, really. So the next thing is number 4, is having your birth chart in astrology drawn up. If you haven't done that already, I mean, many of you may well have done, or may be able to even do that for yourself. My chart was done in my late 20s. This is my birth chart in my folder here. Somebody at work did it for me, and I've added bits and pieces to it over time, but it was all handwritten for me and all hand drawn up, and it's wonderful, actually, to be honest. It's fascinating. It's really quite accurate about me in so many ways, to be honest. I had my son's birth chart drawn up when he was born, and it's been so wonderful to see how he's grown into that chart, and he really has, actually. So yeah, I would really highly recommend having your birth chart done, because, you know, very basic astrology I just don't think it means anything really. But to have your chart done and to really be able to see your placements and how they reflect upon your personality is just absolutely fascinating. There's a website which I will link below where you can input your date of birth and place of birth and time of birth if you have it, because that's really important for your rising sign. And that will draw you up quite a basic birth chart and give you an interpretation of it. But if it's something you're interested in, I would highly recommend having a real person do that for you. So yeah, that's number 4. So number 5, next up is journaling. Now, I know some people are really into journaling, some people find it like pulling teeth, but I think it's invaluable actually in kind of accelerating your self-knowledge, your ability to self-reflect and to learn about yourself. I've kept journals on and off throughout my life, not consistently, and that's mainly just me, because I think I find it quite hard to develop habits that stick. So I fall into habits and then I'll fall out of them again for a time. But I've got a pile of examples of my journals here from over the years. I'm not going to show you inside them, but I've kept various journals at different times in my life. At the moment, I'm keeping a Moonology diary, which is a kind of journal. I have an ongoing bedside dream journal. I don't always remember to write my dreams in this, but I have done on and off for many years. I have an insight journal, which is a book you can buy on Amazon, I think. And yeah, I filled in quite a lot of it, but not all of it. And it asks you a lot of really, really interesting, thought-provoking questions, to be honest. Things like, I just opened this page here. What was the last thing you did out of obligation, fear or guilt, and why? What is the best quote you've heard lately, and why do you like it? What was your last small victory? What is the biggest problem you're facing right now, and why? In what ways are you a friend or an enemy to yourself? It asks you to write down notable and aha moments from your day. It's a really, really nice little book, actually. It's called an Insight Journal, and it's a 1-year journal, and it asks you 2 questions a day. This is a journal that's just got blank pages in it with a few little pictures, and I've used this for tarot journaling in the past. And then I also have had big sort of leather bound or big hardback journals like this that I've kept at various times, and actually this one is really quite precious to me. This journal I think helped to save my life, to be honest, 3 years ago. This is what I was using around the time of my breakdown, and I started to use a form of journaling in this book called Future Self Journaling, and again I'll leave a link to this in the description box. But it's something developed by the holistic psychologist, who you will find on YouTube and also Instagram. She's also written a book recently, actually. I think her name is Natal. She's called the Holistic Psychologist, and she's a trauma survivor. She's done an awful lot of work on reparenting herself and learning how to feel more secure in herself, and she developed this kind of theme of asking yourself a few questions every day and using that as the basis of your journal. So like I said, I will link that in the description box if you're interested in that. But journaling can be anything. As I've shown you, you can buy ready-made tailored books. You can just have a notebook. I think what's important is that you try to get into a habit every day of writing your thoughts and feelings down. A gratitude diary is a really helpful thing to keep. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what it is, so long as it prompts questions and it prompts some kind of self-reflection. Okay, so lastly is a daily tarot practice. Now, if you're watching this on my tarot channel, this might be something that you already do or you have been doing on and off for years. If you're watching this on my Highly Sensitive Me channel, you may or may not be interested in tarot cards. But for me, I think it's a fantastic tool for self-development and self-reflection. And in fact, for me, with tarot cards over the years, it's really been its main purpose for me is using them to self-reflect, using them as an aid to learn about myself. I've never particularly used tarot cards for divination with myself. I like them more for in-depth sort of shadow work. And sort of, just generally pondering issues in my life. You really don't need to be an expert in tarot to have a daily tarot practice. If you're new to tarot, it might be helpful to buy a very basic sort of deck, like a standard Rider-Waite tarot deck, and just pull a card every day and make it a practice, make it a habit. Read from the book, keep notes, have a notebook, see how that card and that energy sort of manifests in your day, write it down, and it's part of how you can learn tarot, really. It's part of how I learned to read tarot cards many years ago. If you're more experienced, you might want to pick a particular deck that's for shadow work, something like the Mary L Tarot or the Darkwood Tarot, or there's hundreds of other ones, and just pull a card every day or do a small spread. I like to pull a card every morning, sometimes three, often one, sometimes three, and just ask what the energies of the day holds, really. What should I be aware of for today? This practice can really help you to aid your intuition and develop your intuition, and it's a lovely sort of daily ritual, really, of sitting down with a cup of tea, if that's your thing, lighting a candle or some incense, breathing deeply and just centering yourself, really. I think more than anything of what questions you ask or what deck you use or how you record it, I think what's really important is that you make it a daily habit and that you do it at the same time every day and record your thoughts and feelings and intuitions and any synchronicities really that happen throughout the day. And it's a lovely thing to look back on. So there we go, there's the 6 things. I hope you found this video helpful. Oh, look at my hair, that's a terrible mess, isn't it? Let's get rid of it. I hate having my face on camera. I just feel like I have to fiddle with myself constantly, or try not to look at myself really in the camera. I expect I'll get used to it one of these days. Anyway, I know I've discussed quite a few tests and quizzes and things there, and I know some people really don't like the idea of being boxed in or pigeonholed or labelled in any way, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, I find these things actually really soothe and calm my mind. The information from these things can really help me to focus in on certain things. My mind is restless and quite chaotic a lot of the time, and I can find it hard to sort of focus in on certain thoughts sometimes. So to do a quiz or a test can really help me with that, as can keeping a journal, a tarot journal, a reparenting journal, and any of the other things that I've talked about here really today. So they really do help me to make sense of myself, let alone the outside world. So I think all of these different tools can give you a good platform or foundation from which to navigate through life. I really wish I'd known and understood a lot of these things when I was much younger. You know, we're all in search of more meaningful and positive relationships, even if that relationship is only with ourselves. So I would highly recommend all of these things. So do please check out the links that I've provided. I would love to hear your experience with any of these things, or anything else actually that helps you, things that you found helpful yourself. Please do give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I shall see you again soon. Thank you.